How's the audio going now? It's good. S- Just getting things set up here. Just give me a minute. Howdy, Michael. Let me get this swapped over to in-game camera. Oh, no. Not much for me to do today. If the event's over, all that. Just gonna get some things posted up on the exchange, answer questions, things like that. Probably not gonna do too many runs right now because I'm gonna be doing a ton of runs later tonight. Need to go around and get some doffs posted. So for those of you that missed it, they've announced now that the California from Lower Decks is going to the Infinity lockbox, and it's not going to be its own new lockbox, which is not surprising, but it is rather unfortunate. A new Lower Decks lockbox would have been quite a bit of new content into the game. Um, and with them just dumping the ship right into Infinity, the chances are it's just going to be just the ship and maybe a new trade or something. Probably not that much. We're not getting a full new lockbox worth of content, basically, which is really unfortunate. I might do some testing too. I haven't done anything with rear out reserves to weapons or exceed rated limits. I haven't really done any testing with either of those yet, and to be blunt, it's because, well, both of them are not that great. Even with the new trait, they still sort of suck, so I haven't really had much motivation to go through and uh, do the testing on those just to, see exactly how much they suck. Yeah. If we're lucky, there will be Lobby items, which, I mean, depends on how you feel about Lobby items, but you just have to hope that there's more than just the ship in there, because if it's just a ship, then that's going to be fairly underwhelming. Okay, so I'm just gonna post some random things. I posted 3 of these projectile weapon officers up on the exchange last night, 50 mil pop. They all sold, so I'm gonna put another batch up at a bit of a higher price. Yeah, that was never gonna happen. The account wide promo lockbox, all those ships, they make too much money off of them. To be honest with you, um, every lockbox ship or every promo ship that sells is at least 200 to 300 US dollars that Cryptic is getting. So they have no incentive at all to make it so that we can get them unlocked account wide through anything other than the mud store. Uh, that was as soon as they came out with muds, the any hopes of them giving us a way to just make this, a specific ship we own available account wide, that was dead. That idea was just completely dead, in my opinion. Yeah, definitely. There was not much hope for it for a while. Okay, so those stuff sold. What else sold here? Debt. Apparently a crit doff. I need to get this monitor a little bit closer still. My other one, my ultra wide monitor that I've got chat on is over to my left here. Still, even with me moving it over as far as it can, it's still about a foot and a half away from the other monitor. It's not exactly optimal. I think the game sound is really quiet, so let me turn it up. Oh yeah, the game sound is at like line. That's probably a little too loud. It always surprises me to go through and see people winning these older lockbox ships. Like, I don't know if you guys just saw that one just pop up, but someone was opening a Jem'Hadar light battlecruiser, or the lockbox that gives that. It's always surprising when you go and see people opening those older ones. So I guess there is some incentive. I forget which lockbox it is, but there's one that gives like these ground transwarp devices. Find the actual name. It's transwarp beaming device. I forget which lockbox gives these, but these things are nice. They'll let you just beam straight to a place if you want to save some time. You can go from, for example, there's one of these that I use quite often to go from New Romulus Command over to New Kara. So I'll just hit one of these, and it takes me straight to New Kara ground. And when I beam back up, it takes me right back to New Romulus Command. Really good for getting dailies done. It was interesting to see that blog post. I had heard something about that, but I had not read it myself. People were saying that it was only for the items, I think. Hunting for a Keldon, but they have jumped up in price, probably because that's possible. The surgical strike straight off of the Keldon was Insidious Tactics, I think. Got it on SOB. How you doing, Paul? Thank God that isn't available. Oh. I thought it was another Paul. It's Tactics, I think is the name. Like the trade off the Keldon, it's fine, but it's not worth whatever people are paying for it. Darthon, how you doing? Yeah. So at most, Insidious Tactics is 3% crit chance and 15 severity. Like it's a nice trait, but if you're paying lockbox tier prices for a trait like that, you're better off getting the Mirror Warship. That'll give you 15% crit chance. Or, something even better like Universal Designs, which is going to give up to 10% crit chance and 50 severity. Like Insidious Tactics, I get it. It's easy to use. But the buff from it isn't the most competitive. Yeah, that is Turtle. That is a very old bug, and it's been like that since that pack initially came out. They're never going to fix it. If you buy one off the exchange, like if you buy what is it? Discovery. I want to say it's like Discovery Starship pack or something. Yeah, if you buy this Discovery Starship pack, when you open it up, it'll, like you said, it'll pop your name across the screen, even if you buy it right off the exchange. Also, it is very surprising to me to see that there are 2 Disco Flight Deck carrier boxes sitting on the exchange right now. Wonder how many other promo chips are up right now. Seeing a few Ramparts up there for some reason. There's a few promo ships sitting up on the exchange right now, which is a little surprising. I need to move this. Just about hit the end stream button on accident there. Let me catch up here. Zach, no. Even though Surgical Strikes is, in a better state, the fact is the Vulcan ship is still much more expensive to obtain being a promo ship. The Vengeance, for each one of those Vulcan jellyfish ships that you buy off the exchange, with that EC you could buy 5 Kelvins, the Kelvin Vengeances. Like, I think the Vengeance is good. It's definitely a better platform than it was, but it's not. I'd rather go for the higher value ship personally. Michael, the fact that the Kelvin has went up 300 mil is a bit surprising to me. I wonder. I see a Kelvin there. So there's one Kelvin up at 148. How much are plain and simple bundles going for? So the plain and simple bundle is actually cheaper than the Keldon right now. And it contains the Keldon, the Elam Garrick Hollow Bridge Officer, 5 gold tech upgrades, and then that title. So if you want a Keldon, make sure to look for the plain and simple bundles because you're going to get more from the pack with that. They used to sell these in the Lobby store apparently for a brief duration, and that's where these come from. There just hasn't been a drop of those in a while. Just capture back off. But yeah, make sure grab a plain and simple bundle. You'll get more for your money. Like, and it's really the Vengeance, Zach. Like I said, it's a good ship, but I personally would take the jellyfish there any day of the week over the Vengeance just for the value perspective. Wonder, is there a Lost Serena on the exchange? For some reason, I want to grab a Lost Serena. Somebody got a new razor? Yeah, I shaved the beard off, unfortunately. Nick was not happy about it. Triz yelled at me. Triz was actually angry. He was disappointed in me. Just looking for some doffs and things to sell. I won't have an issue getting the California when it comes out. I'm only going to get it if it's good, though. Or if it's got a good trader console. I'm not going to... If it's got stats similar to the Parliament, but it doesn't have a trait or console to justify it, I'm not going to waste resources on it. Yeah. That was the issue, was the beard. Like, we've had temps going up and down here in Iowa so far, so... the other day it was like 30 something. I mean, we had snow on the ground just last week, and right now it's 60 out. With I think the high today here in Des Moines is gonna be around like 77 or something. So the issue with the other ones, Kathy, thank you for the super chat. Very much appreciated. Let me pop this open. Play capture. The issue with choosing the Vengeance over the Kelvin Timeline Starships is the Kelvin Timeline Starship box gives you 3 different ships. The issue with the Kelvin Heavy Destroyer is that it gives you 2 ships, which they're basically the same stats-wise, but, still, it's this option, the Kelvin Timeline Starships, is giving you 3 lockbox ships. The Kelvin Heavy Destroyer one is giving you 2 lockbox ships. And then the Vulcan Experimental Scout Vessel, that's a promo ship that would usually cost you, a couple $100 to get for a single character. So I mean, it's up to you. If you really want the vengeance, uh, then just get it. I guess the heavy destroyers would probably be the easiest to sacrifice. But I just wouldn't get the vengeance through this. The Lobby ships are so easy to get if you're playing long enough that you can get them cheap off the exchange. I know their prices through legitimate to illegitimate methods are much cheaper than they used to be, so it's hard for me to justify grabbing a Lobby ship out of the mud store. That's just my personal thoughts on that. Check. I mean, the Vengeance is the cheapest ship on the exchange for a T6 ship right now. 320 mils a lot, but you spam Admiralty on a bunch of characters, you can get that free to play within a couple weeks, I'd imagine. Or if you play the market even faster. So I want to go see if I have any of the doff packs to try and get more of those projectile doffs that I had listed earlier. Yeah, like Paul says, test the Vengeance out on Tribble. You should be able to get it fairly easy over on Tribble. Someone can send you one, or you can just open keys to get the 900 Lobby over there. The Vengeance is a good ship, but it's not everyone likes it, that's for sure. That's the same for a lot of ships. What was I looking for? Off packs. Yeah. Lobby sales should bring prices back down a little bit, but the issue is that anyone that has a large amount of Lobby is going to wait now for promo ships to be added in. So, like the last 10,000 Lobby I had back in, was it February or March? I just dumped all of it into inquiries when they dropped those in. So, anyone that has a lot of Lobby is typically waiting for these promo ships to be dropped into the Lobby store now. Off packs, Indy. The game is very responsive.
The Alliance has agreed to a summit meeting. I could use your help with something.
When you're opening doff packs in a large quantity, these uncommon doffs just are too tedious to post all up on the exchange, and it's too much work to go through and convert them into commons. That'll take you hours. Got 2 ambush doffs. Let me see what those are going for. Thank you. Thank you, Michael. It's just how I truly feel about the engineer class in this game. They are just my favorite class. Like, my favorite thing is when someone comes to me, says, how can I improve my DPS? And then they show me their build and everything, and they're on an engineer. And they're wanting to get into really high-end stuff, is, what they tell me, and it's like, buddy, ain't gonna work for you. I've been in runs with all of the top engineer runs on the table. I've been in those runs, and they are a slog. It is painful to try and even get someone that understands and has that understands how to play at that really high end level that has tac characters for them to come in on an engineer, it is painful for them to try and get a DPS run through. They just don't have the punch on an engineer. I'm really low on Lobby right now, as surprising as that is. So back around Christmas, I had 40k, but then I dumped like 20 something k into just normal Lobby ships to sell during a 20% sale back around January or February. Uh, and then I used those funds to help work on some characters that I was working on, and then a month later they came out with the inquiry in the Lobby store, and I dumped the rest of my Lobby into that. So I sort of screwed myself over by using most of my Lobby sooner than I should have. Uh, Instead of getting like 20 bill out of that Lobby, I probably could have gone closer to 30 had I played my cards a little bit better, but I'll make it up. I'll just play the exchange at some point once my inquiries sell or something. So I don't think this character has any other doffs that are worth basically anything, because this is my new one. This character's got nothing. I was also thinking Lobby promo wise, the uh, the Sona Collector is what I was expecting, not the Inquiry. Now, if it is the Collector, there's going to be some disappointment because the Collector's nice. The console from it's really good on the actual like Sona Command size ship, and the Sona Collector itself is a really fun ship to fly, but it's not a very good meta ship. Put it lightly. It's fairly underwhelming, but I like it. It's neat. It's fun to fly, and it's actually unique. Something that I feel has been lost with some of these newer promo ships. Some of these newer ones just don't feel unique anymore. Yeah, I'm gonna go look for some doffs over on Trizander. Triz absolutely hates that I didn't have this character. He says that it actually, like, it disturbs him that I would have a character named after him. I think it's fun to just have this character and go into his Star Trek Battles chat while he's streaming and tell everyone to put the Slime Devil shield on. That's quite a bit of fun. Exceed rated limits is basically good if you have nothing. It's a budget option. Let me pull something up here. Builds. Display capture. Jay has a really nice post, and I'll leave a link to this in the stream here. But he goes over in great depth uh, all of the changes to the new firing modes and things like that. But the thing really is with exceed rated limits is it's good at more of a budget level where you don't have haste items and things like that. Uh, but once you start to have like I think a mid to high range build, it starts to lose its value. Be the best way to put it. Here's a comparison of how things all stack up. It should be. It's not really a surprise, but if you want to do the most damage possible with energy weapons, it's still cannon scatter volley. It's been cannon scatter volley for like the last decade, and well, not quite a decade, but probably the last 6-7 years. Cannon scatter volley is what you do if you want to actually do really high end numbers with energy weapons, and nothing has changed there. Exceed rated limits, not that great. but it's not as bad as reroute reserves to weapons. I need to get a video done to like do my testing for these abilities, and I just haven't had much motivation to throughout the week because I already know that they're garbage. Like I know reroute reserves to weapons is just a waste of a slot, and I know exceed rated limits is pretty much the same also. Just have not gotten around to it yet. The thing is with the reroute reserves to weapons, when it initially went live on the triple test server back before the pilot specialization actually came out, from what I remember, they had it so it would work alongside like beam overload, fire at will, rapid fire, it would work alongside the other firing modes. And then they decided when they went live with it to not do that. It would be good if it worked like it was originally designed, but where it is now, where it's its own firing mode, is just, it means it's garbage. Rubica, how you doing? Rob, how you doing? Yeah, you have to use, if you're doing surgical strikes, Michael, yeah, it's got to be surgical strikes 3 or it's not worth your time. Turtle, the big thing with the market on PC is doffs, to be honest. The issue with the doffing market, and even though I tell people, hey, you want to actually make money, get into doffing, it's just that the doffing system is so complex. The amount of things in it is just, there's so many different things in it to factor in. You have to have a good understanding of what a meta build looks like, understand what the good doffs are for those types of builds, where those doffs come from, and people generally do not want to put the work in to do that. Yeah, reroute Hoodwinked would very much be worth it if you could use it, alongside like rapid fire. That would make it much better. Had to make sure that the Parliament class stays useless? Yes. Yes, they did. Return display capture back off. I have a Parliament too. I just have never actually flown it. I got it for the console, which is shameful to say because the console doesn't do much, but I was trying it when it came out on my Admiral Kane character, which is, I was setting it up to be like the most whale premium nanny that it could be for the really high-end record-setting runs. But the console ended up not being good enough. It's only 15 debuff for kinetic and physical too on top of it, I believe. I prefer to take the gamble, Michael. You know me, I like the gamble. STO has turned me into a gambling addict. Not really, but the sad thing is that is true for somebody. STO has really turned somebody out there into a gambling addict. I'm waiting for Goss to pop up in the chat right now after me saying that. Let's see. But yeah, the Dolph packs, definitely open them up yourself. What I like to do. I was gonna look for doffs over here too, so ooh, I only have 100 doffs here. This character's got some good doffs on it, I can see already. Bank 32. 32 is a popular doff for some science builds. 32 of 47. It's not as good as 31 for most of them, but 32 is a very good doff if you have a ship that can take advantage of it. And yes, Turtle, the prices of the crit doffs is definitely a fair bit higher. Yeah, doesn't surprise me. The price of doffs on PC compared to console, our inflation is much worse on PC because of the large amount of botting that happens that Cryptic doesn't care about. Um, I've said this before, but it is not a coincidence that when Admiralty came out, we started to see the rampant inflation that we now see. Yeah, you'd rather gamble on lockboxes than sell the keys? Yes. Yeah. Paul, that's another thing. I was really hoping for a lower decks lockbox, and now it's just an infinity ship. Megla, you're on the wrong account, buddy. Where's Quentin at? No. Where's UFO background? I uninstalled it, Megla. I'm sorry to disappoint you. Yeah, the Borg doffs are nuts, and I'm curious now. The Borg specialist packs have went back down a little bit. For a while there, they were like 100 mil. I wonder how many people were opening the Borg lockbox, though. Let's see what a Borg jug goes for. Yeah. Somebody popped open a lot of Borg lockboxes to flood the market because the Borg jugs are back under 600 mil. Yeah, the Borg doffs, if you get a 31 or uh, like a 27, 24, it's crazy. 24s are still a bill. 27, 1.5, 31s. Yeah. There's just not enough supply of them, and there's not as many people opening lockboxes, to be honest, it feels like right now. We don't have enough of a supply of a lot of things on the market. What do I focus on in the game other than DPS? Probably market. I haven't really been doing as much with the market in the past couple of months, but gambling was a big thing for me throughout most of last year. I want to say that last year I opened at least 10 to 12,000 lockboxes, free to play. Let me add, free to play on that one. I did not put in that much money. I had a lot of sad trait boxes from before the cross faction change, and then when the cross faction change rolled around, I made a lot of EC. So the market is definitely a big thing for me. I can buy 4 Borg doffs here, or I could buy some master keys. What are keys at? Keys are well priced right now, aren't they? What wonderful prices. I don't really do much like ship customization, to be honest. I mostly I will do my DPS stuff, and then I'll just play the market, gamble. That's really it. I don't get into all the customization space Barbie stuff as like everyone else does that I know. But with just with the DPS stuff, that really helps me with the market because I know where the things come from that people want, the things that, people will go nuts for, like certain doffs, things like that. So I can just focus on ways to acquire those and make a bit of money. I'm getting screwed out of these lockboxes. No. With the DPS stuff, it's hard to even just focus on just the DPS stuff anymore because like there's not really that many people doing it. And to do the type of runs that I like to do right now, I need very specific groups, very specific people to be around. And if they're not around, I'm not going to be able to do the type of runs that I'd like to do. I can't with the type of with how I'm playing the game right now, I can't go in and do say a channel run and get a good record. The only way I'm gonna get a record is, with a fully coordinated team. I don't even focus on pugs or anything like that. My entire focus with DPS right now is literally just on that high-end environment and some solo. I still like the solo stuff as a challenge just to see how fast can I complete this queue, things like that. Uh, I did a stream a couple weeks back. I think I deleted my Mark II character. Oh. Um, I did a stream a couple weeks back where I was doing just solo ISC runs and just seeing if I could get a new record, and that's something I enjoy, and that doesn't require a team to be around. But if I'm wanting to do like high-end split runs, I obviously need a very specific group for anything like that. Oh yes, Rob. Hello, Kim. Yes, Rob. If B team isn't around, I'm not exactly gonna go in and get a good number in a run. No. Howdy, Matt. B team is so far the only group that has figured out how to actually do split runs. So, uh, I've shown some of the split runs off on streams before, but it's the same as what we used to do in Infected Space Advanced. Part of the team goes to the left side, part of the team goes to the right side, and the overall run completion time is much faster. You're not getting that in a channel run. You need people that are very experienced, and most importantly, not just have the build, but have the mechanical skill to actually, utilize the builds and take out a side fast enough in Elite. That is a very big issue I found is the side nuking role can be very challenging. Do I actually like Star Trek? Yes. I've watched most of the series, all of the movies. The only series that I haven't watched was TOS. I've tried to watch it, but it's just too dated for me. I think it's the only one that I think I don't have TOS downloaded. I have everything else like downloaded on my Plex server, but I don't have TOS. Just had a hard time getting into it whenever I tried. But yeah, I'm a fan of most of the shows. The Discovery has parts that I like, parts that I don't. I think that's how most people feel about it. Yeah, I I know a lot of people uh, that just cannot get into TOS, and Discovery, I'm not gonna go too far into, but it just feels like the storyline there gets dragged on so much that when I watched this recent season, I was skipping through and only watching half the episodes. I would just skim through specific scenes that I knew weren't going to have any impact, that were just side stories for certain characters, and I just ignored them. But like TNG, DS9, I'm big fans of those. Voyager, I always liked Voyager. Enterprise had its moments. Picard was also I've liked Picard so far, and Lower Decks, of course. I think I'm actually gonna go for Lost Serena though. I don't see any on the market. What are Ingrid? I have not watched the original Battlestar Galactica. That one I have not watched, but I have watched the new one, obviously, the newer one. Peter, how are you doing? Kim, Lower Decks. Yeah, the art style is definitely a bit different. I'm sorry, Hoodwinked. Probably not the answer you were hoping for. So I was thinking about this, and like, you know, there's been all these like mods coming out for the game for STO that people have been doing. They're like just mostly they're just sound packs so far. But I was wondering, what about the possibility of like getting like a ship model in of like say a Battlestar Galactica or like like a ship from Stargate, the what is it, the BC 304 or whatever, the Daedalus class. Like I wonder if there'd be a way to actually mod one of those into the game or through demo record just for an interesting like content piece. Yeah, Mythos, Stargate Discovery's first season had some issues, that's for sure. Documents from the 1000, how you doing? I with Discovery, I had a lot of scenes in the past 2 seasons that I felt like I had to skip through. I just certain characters I just could not find that I could care for them at all. Yeah. Yeah, I can understand that you didn't have as many options back then. Is there audio triggers in game or programs you can run for it? I don't know in that regard, but let me pop something up here. I'm gonna show my screen here. But this is what had me thinking, you know, there's apparently a thing on Nexus mods for sound mods and things like that that people have figured out that they can do for STO. So like I'll include a link to this in the live stream chat here. But I was wondering, what if there was a way to like mod in, even if it's just through demo record, a way to like mod in the Daedalus from Stargate or like say the Battlestar Galactica and just have like a little even a demo record where you're just doing an infected, with like the Battlestar Galactica or the Daedalus from Stargate, something like that. Just mod in some other ship that isn't actually, Star Trek in the game. I wonder if that's something that's possible. White Star, the Normandy, yeah. The amount, like, the Ori ships, yes. But there's definitely a lot of things that you could do with that if that works, and I don't know that it does. A Star Destroyer instead of a Styx would be very interesting. We'll chat up here. Yeah, Death Jester Discovery. I liked the mirror arc in the first season, the later half of the first season. I did enjoy that. Um, the second season, there were some elements that I liked, but I think overall with Discovery, I don't know. I'm just watching it to see what happens at this point, not necessarily because I'm really into the storyline, because it feels like the entire season could have been resolved in like 1 to 2 episodes. If Battlestar Galactica came to a Muds bundle, I'd pay for that. Yes, yeah, that'd be amazing. I think the best thing to come from Discovery, uh, other than just the new ship designs, I think Strange New Worlds is going to be interesting. I did think Pike was a good captain in season 2 of Discovery. Yeah, I agree, Hoodwinked. Moo, the best recommendation to improve DPS, keybinds and positioning. Really, that's the big thing, is making sure you have a constant rotation of your bridge officer abilities. You know how most people will set up a spam bar. That's basically a must for performing at a high level in this game. Is you just need to have your abilities that you need to have up all the time, just on the spam bar, to make sure that they are up as often as possible. And piloting is very much a loaded response. Piloting is, just making sure your weapons are hitting as many foes all the time as possible. Just maximizing uptime for your weapons overall. But piloting is very much a loaded response. Shuttle racing, I do believe I think they've canned it by now, but there was a leak like 3-4 years ago, if I recall, about a shuttle race event, and then they just never followed through on it. I think that was around the time they had the shuttle only PvP queue, and that just did not work out, and I think they lost all interest in developing shuttle specific content because of that. Yeah. I am waiting for the last 2 episodes of Picard for season 2. I'm expecting that it's going to be nice to see how the plot line concludes here, but at the same time, there's a lot of things that they have to now resolve in these last 2 episodes. I hate this current setting with the entertainment where they just do the 10 episode seasons. It drives me nuts most of the time. I need to get my endeavors done. Defeat Terrans on ground, Polar on damaged ground. Okay. Shuttles in the shows seem to do more than those in the game, yeah. The shuttles in the game just... They need more weapons, I think. Just more room for things to be slotted on them, but I think the worry for Cryptic was that if they did that, then they're competing against, like, Tier 1 ships and things like that. Michael, I think they've already... They recorded Season 2 and 3 of Picard, like, at the same time, so... If from what I understand, that's already all recorded.
Everyone's here?
That, or they immediately started recording it right after the second season. So even if something does happen, I think they've already got it planned out and recorded already just in case. Yeah, the legendary Vesta, I imagine Intel Temporal is the combo on it. I'm enjoying Picard, but I don't know if I would be. I don't know. I don't think between Picard and Discovery that I would get a Paramount subscription. I don't know. I don't know if it's necessarily all worth the cost of that entire streaming service just to watch the one shows.
Get to the consoles down in the security hub.
If I accidentally let my muds go off there. How can I spam agony if I'm dead? Yeah, I'm just doing the endeavors and then I'm getting out of here. Yeah. It's nice that they let you do it solo. That's always very nice. Box, dual phaser cannons under surgical strikes and recursive shearing? Yeah, that'd be interesting, for sure. We need more ships that have at least a lieutenant commander temporal seat. So skills from specializations are active. Some of them, most of them are just passively active, but they're usually it's like the tier 4 stuff that's clickies for specializations. So you were asking about command. The clicky there would be boost morale. Achilles heel, which one is that? That should just be passive. Yeah, that's just a passive effect. To play on PlayStation? You're brave. I could never handle the console UI. But they do, the game apparently does fairly well on console, so glad you're enjoying it. When do we expect Legendary Vesta to be released? I would have to say the soonest possible would be the 10th, but probably expect sometime later in May or maybe June. Yeah, the Legendary Ambassador is really good right now with the changes for surgical strikes and recursive. I know recursive has next month. Okay. Recursive has been getting a bit of attention, I know now, but recursive shearing has always been good. It's just the issue before was that everything died before the 5 seconds was up. And now that it goes once per second, you can actually benefit from it even if the target dies before that full 5 seconds or 10 seconds is up. So it being part of the new trait is nice, but the big change for it was the making it tick once per second rather than waiting the full 5 seconds to deal its damage. Yeah, it's there's none of the DPS chase or the really high-end stuff on console from what I understand. It's much more limited. Engineers need a revamp. Be the nice way to say it. The issue in this game is just that healing doesn't matter much. Do I want to do... Rob, I'll pass on the counterpoint for now. I'm just doing my other endeavor for now, the Herc one. From what I understand, the command specialization is used in PvP. I need to go... Oh, did I not claim the event? So PvP actually uses command for the boost morale clicky because that removes debuffs. Yeah, that's part of the issue, Michael, is the lack of uh, accounts being shared between PC and console. That's definitely a big issue that limits it. But the other thing for me is the way you activate abilities through that wheel system or whatever. I could never do that.
Previously on Star Trek Online, the Dominion,
Oh,
as you
skip.
know it, is on the... I arrived here ahead of you, and I've already engaged the Herc.
We may be needing your
Imagine if weapon power or like just your power settings loaded with the loadout. Okay, I see the game was really loud there. I hit the loadout on this thing and it didn't actually load my weapon power. It was unfortunate. The Viridian I haven't really used before. I looked at the proc of the Viridian weapons when they came out. It just was not. They did not appeal to me. PvP can work, but it is a different play style, and it's not one that most people can get into, to be honest. Yeah, scatter volley. That's the issue with scatter volley is the visual of it and the narrow firing arc of scatter volley. Like I understand why people don't like using it, but at the same time, it does sort of suck with energy weapons that if you actually want to do a lot of damage, you want to actually push high up on the DPS tables with energy weapons, you are either using cannons with cannon scatter volley, or you're not using energy weapons. That's what sucks with it because you can't compete if you're running beam overload, surgical strikes. You are not going to get a top of the table level number with a single target focus build. It has to be AoE abilities like cannon scatter volley. Yeah, I mean, Fire at Will can do okay, but Scatter Volley just takes the crown. Yeah, the PvP community, credit to them. They have been doing events where it's like, okay, we're going to do low tier. We're going to make sure you can't have any of this, premium gear or whatever, the stuff that's unattainable for most players. Like they do events where they limit what you can bring in, but at the same time, people people still get smacked in those events and that just completely demotivates them. Yeah, Scatter Volley's got the visual issue. It's also misfires a lot. That's another big issue with it. Delkina I really enjoy though. I don't remember what I had this one set up for exactly. Bridge officer setup on it is I don't know what even this loadout fully is, but it worked. Yeah, specialization firing mode that is AoE would be much better. Um, if I had a direct line to Cryptic, what would I say to improve this game? Oof. There's a few different responses that I could go with there. Some that would have a worse reaction, but um, I think we're very much missing that connection on the systems team. We don't have somebody on the systems team right now, I believe, that really has a good understanding of what the meta is like, what high end play even is like. When Jet was there, Jet was hired by Cryptic, and she was already a min max player before she started working for them. She was a min max player in Stowe, had played at the high end for many years, and like she was everyone's favorite developer because she understood the game. She understood the game. She understood, what was needed to make certain types of builds better, to open up more play styles. She had that understanding, and with her gone, I just don't think they have that. I I don't think that their systems team has that much knowledge in it now, about how some of these mechanics actually work. I also I am fully under the belief now, and have been for a while, that their QA team simply does not touch most of these new ships that come out with regards to their traits, the consoles. I I don't believe they do playtesting with them. They can tell me, one of them could message me right now and say, we actually test these things. I'm not going to believe them. The amount of traits, consoles, and all these things, like every time a new ship comes out, there's something broken with it, you know? And I have seen instances, Hit and Run was a really good example. Hit and Run was a trait off of the, it's like the Cation Escort, the, it was a bundle a while back, but Hit and Run, when you hit evasive maneuvers, you would get 30% crit chance for 8 seconds after evasive maneuvers. And it was like that on the triple test server for a month before it was released. And they had apparently wanted it to be crit severity, even though it was just an 8-second boost. So even though it was 30% crit chance, it was only 8 seconds every 45. Now, it was broke on Tribble for a month before release, and it took them nearly a month after it was live to actually fix it to the state that they wanted it to be in. Yeah, letting us test for them is cheaper. Exactly. I fully believe at this point, when it comes to Like lockbox ships, promo ships, most of the new ships, honestly, they don't bother testing the traits or consoles because they know that we will do the testing for them and people will complain within the first day of it coming out and they'll have it fixed by the following patch. They I don't think they're having their QA test these things. Like, yeah, that's a good example too there, Michael. The quad cannons on the new bug ship, all it would have taken, is someone to go in and say, hey, I tried to upgrade these. I couldn't upgrade them. Like, there's so many little things that you see that should be caught by a QA team, but they're not. And I don't know, is it that their QA team is understaffed? Are they being prioritized to, other things? I really don't know. Are they being prioritized to play story content? We're getting one story mission every 3 or 4 months at this rate. Is it really taking all their time to test that story mission? You know what I mean with regards to that? Hey Triaz, how you doing? Yeah, and some of the exploits, Michael, like there have been some really bad exploits that I've found over the years. Um, this is one when Jet was still around. You some of you older players may remember when they made the changes to the overflow bag. Well, when they initially made the changes to the overflow bag to limit it so you can only have 200 items in the overflow, uh, there was an exploit right off the bat where you could fill up your inventory, and if you opened Infinity lockboxes, the only things you would get from the lockbox were items that would stack with items that you had in your inventory. So the Infinity T6 shipbox stacks. Can you believe they let that one sit there for a week? It basically, the only way you could open the lockbox, or the only way the lockbox would open is if it would stack with something in your inventory, and then T6 ship boxes, were stackable and still are. So that was probably the second biggest exploit that I can recall. The biggest one, I really shouldn't say because there's people that would still want to hurt me for even bringing that up to Jet. But that lockbox one was one of the bigger ones that I had found. QA definitely just needs some love. And it's, if there was a job opening for their QA team or their systems team, I would apply again. I don't think I'd get in the systems position just because of my lack of relevant experience. Uh, but the QA side, I think I could do a fairly good job with if there was ever an opening, especially with remote work. I don't have to move to California. I could just stay here in Des Moines. It was worse than that, to be honest, Michael. Like, uh, and it persisted for an entire week. I know people that exploited it were banned though, so I found out about it. That was back at a point where I was really on the ball, like really into the game. Like I'm into the game right now, but I was like really, really into the game back then. Uh, into all the systems and testing things as soon as things went live, and I found out that overflow exploit within like half an hour of the server coming up, and I immediately got in contact with Jet, uh, and was like, "Hey, this is happening," and it stayed there for a week. They didn't want to shut the game down to resolve it. Deadly Appearance, I think, just stacks. Like it doesn't have the lockout that it's supposed to have. I think that in general is just an issue that they have never resolved. Howdy, Crusher. Charlie, yes, Delta Rising is the best expansion and everyone loves it, indeed. Freak Boy, The biggest exploit that I ever unintentionally or intentionally had resolved was the one with the with farming contraband via the foundry. There was a way that uh, the Orion slaver pets. Basically, if you went into the foundry and you created a like an invisible wall between you and the target, you could go in there, and the Orion slavers worked as they originally had launched when the game came out. They had nerfed them, but the nerf did not persist into the KDF foundry. So you could go in and just farm stacks and stacks of contraband each day, exploiting that. And there were people with bot farms set up for it that were farming like dozens of stacks of contraband each day. That is the one of the bigger exploits that I ended up like getting reported, and yeah, that's one people still not going to be happy with me with, because I said too much to certain people and they got it taken care of. That's the big one. Do I ever think they're going to do another big expansion? No. I do not think they have the capacity to do another large expansion, to be honest, right now. It feels like they're not quite in maintenance mode with the game. I mean, obviously, they're still doing a fair amount of content each year. They're releasing a ton of ships each year. But we're definitely not getting the same level, like the same quantity of content that we got half a decade ago. Personal space trajectory. Yeah, I used to. So I had a character that would just sit on top of the SD. Um, and I just left it there for a couple months, and it just sat there. It was fun to get outside the map and just run around. Uh, be right back. Okay. Let me know if that fan back there gets too loud. It was just starting to get a fair bit warm in here. Love to have the window open, but it's also we've got thunderstorms and stuff here, so it's all humid and all that fun stuff out right now. No, the mic should filter things out, but it might have some distortion. So just let me know if it does. Cryptic to me seems like a duck. Calm on the surface, but paddling their feet. Yeah. Well, the other thing too, Michael, is Cryptic is trying to just make up their losses from the Magic game. That was a huge financial hit for them. The biggest overall exploit that I'm aware of in the game was the one with the Foundry missions way back in the day, where people were getting like 10 million unrefined lithium, things like that. They'd get 10. Terrible. um, People would make a new character, spam a ton of Foundry missions. They'd get like a 10 million unrefined lithium, and then they just keep making new characters and stuff like that. If the distortion is too bad, just let me know. Okay, it still sounds good. But people like half the people I knew from back in the day, uh, like they had gone a ton of dilithium through that. And from what I understand, about half the people that did that and abused those foundry missions to do that got banned, but the other half had nothing done to them. They kept their dilithium, and uh, like some of the older DPS admins from back when I was getting into the game, some of them had like tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dilithium, you know, just a few years later because they'd been able to refine that all. What specialization would I like to see reworked and how? Pilot's the obvious one. But I would also, I'd like to say miracle worker in a way. I'm not actually that big of a fan of the miracle worker specialization. Uh, the only thing I like about miracle worker ships is the extra console. I don't personally enjoy the abilities that much. Sure, mixed armament synergy is nice, narrow sensor bands is cool, but I just don't really find much else in that specialization to be that appealing to me. I don't know. I don't even remember what all the American worker abilities do off the top of my head. I know there's the gravitic juncture or whatever that's got a shield drain or something to it. Pilot needs the most love though, and I think that's what you're going to see reworked next year. Add some crit doffs, so you know what that means. Another 2 keys. And disappointment. But pilot, like reroute reserves to weapons, I'd mentioned this earlier, when it initially came out on the triple test server, you know, you could use it alongside the other firing modes, is what I was told. I could be wrong, but there were people back then, they actually let high-end players test things. They even had like a testing group where they would give early access to certain ships, consoles, traits, whatever, back in the day, just to get uh, some responses from the player base. But they stopped doing that. That testing group was dissolved, and uh, they just don't have that level of interaction with the community anymore. Yes, I am an addict. Yes, Rob. I guess to going back to that previous question of what would I'd like Cryptic to do better? Better, like just better relations to the community, really. That'd be a good one. More interaction. I still think if STO had uh, like Twitch drops, that would really be a boost to the Twitch side of the community and also get more players into the game. Uh, Basically, with Twitch drops, you just have your Twitch account linked to your Arc account. Uh, if you watch an STO streamer for a couple hours, you would get a drop, and that drop could be something like, say, a master key. And so you just watch an STO streamer, even have them muted for 2 hours, you get a key for doing that. That boosts the amount of people watching STO content creators on Twitch, and boosting the number of people watching boosts the entire category up, so it's more visible to everyone on the Twitch platform. And it just helps promote the game. It helps support the content creators over on Twitch, but it also helps just promote the game. You know, makes it appear more active on the on Twitch and just to a wider community. The account linking. I'm sad I missed out on the epic stuff. I would love to have gone that epic pack, but yeah. Denny, there's lots of old missions and especially Foundry missions that I would love to play again, but I just don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Yeah, I know some people like Miracle Worker on their tanks. It is a viable option for tanks. I don't know. I just wish the actual specialization, I guess, if they had some really powerful heals in the Miracle Worker specialization, that'd make it a little bit more interesting. You know, some really potent heals that are like, oh, this is the best heal in the game. Well, it's both, Freak Boy. It's something I think Twitch drops would help the game. As a content creator, I'd love to have that. If there were Twitch drops, I'd still stream over on Twitch rather than here on YouTube, but YouTube allows me a bit more flexibility for streaming, which I like. I can stream it at a higher bit rate, higher resolution, things like that. Um, Now I can have fine quality on Twitch also, but just YouTube gives me more options in that regard. But if there were Twitch drops for STO, I'd still be over on Twitch. Michael, you remember interacting with Salami back in the day? Yeah, I think that the devs have very much pulled the reins in on communicating with the player base. I had somebody reach out to me. I can't remember the name right now, but someone reached out to me the other day. Mark Hawk, I think it was, um, trying to pass along a bug with the aux cannons on the Vesta. I was like, "Oh, go message Cryan. He's over on the Reddit Discord." And he tries, and Cryan has his settings now locked down. So if you're not a friend with him, you can't message him. I think it very much feels like they've pulled in the reins a little bit on communicating with the player base. Like, as someone asked me in a comment probably a week or two back, saying, do I have any direct lines of communication with the devs anymore? And the answer is no. I had a pretty good line of communication back in the day when Jet was there, but I knew Jet from before she was a developer. Uh, but I don't have any type of connection nowadays. Um, Peter, I do somewhat agree. They get so much out of whaling that they don't care to promote it as much, and I think they feel that with all of the new Star Trek content that they don't have to promote it as much. I would definitely agree with that to some extent, yeah. Nice stuff. Yeah, the Miracle Worker with certain builds could definitely be a good specialization option. Rob, I think the lack of promoting the game probably hurts it a little bit, but they feel like they're getting enough out of what they already do. I don't know. The amount of money they make just off of like each new lockbox ship or promo ship that lands is crazy. Michael, that's definitely possible. I can understand how if you were like, uh, say you're on the QA team there and you have people just messaging you and not explaining the issues in great detail, that could get a bit irritating over time. Loco, I do agree. Most of Cryptic's woes are of their own making. There's a lot of things that I think we all agree they could be handling better. I think the QA team situation, the clear lack of them even testing most of these new ships or consoles or traits, it's there's lots of things they could do better. I don't have enough for another key. It's a sad time. Just gonna go back through, see if I have any other doffs that I want to post here. Death Jester reroute reserves to weapons. Yeah, it needs to be able to be usable alongside other firing modes. That's the big issue with it right now. I think Lambda is fine where it is right now. It's not useful really for PvE, but in PvP it's very, very potent. Probably a little too potent, but I don't really play PvP anymore. Admiralty is a very fun part of the game. I know everyone here enjoys it. Yeah, I know Lambda has a lot of presence in PvP right now. I'm realizing too, how long is it until they nerf the dilithium you get from hitting tier 10 in a Admiralty campaign? I should probably go through at some point and actually get the rest of my characters up to tier 10 in each of the campaigns to get the dilithium from that. Because that'd be an easy thing for them to get rid of. That there's a bit of dilithium you can get per character. Because that's 80k dilithium right there. Or during events, if I remember. Do I have any doffs here? I have a review up on Steam from, I want to say 2017 or 2016. Back when, honestly, but before Discovery and when most people were like, this game doesn't have much more life to it. I think that's when I did my review of it, and it wasn't the most positive review. In fact, I said to people, it's not worth your time. Uh, but then Disco came out and gave us a bunch of content, so. I don't remember if they nerfed Lambda or they buffed it, but it definitely got some changes in the past couple of months. Just looking to see what doffs I have here. See what 42 is going for. Okay. I like seeing that I have a doff that's worth a lot, apparently. Go and post 2 of those. And see if I have any of those on a Fed. Oh, no. They have, Loco, they have not touched that yet. You still get the 20,000 for hitting tier 10. Are you thinking of like the missions, the tour of duties? Those they hit. But for actually getting the Admiralty campaigns up, those are Still the same as they've always been. Yeah, you're thinking of the tour of duties. I'm talking about the overall campaign. So if you look here, you see how I'm at level 10? Hitting level 10 gets you like 20k to lithium. Spencer is hoarding all the Borg doffs? Yes. It feels like it sometimes, doesn't it? This character's got a lot of things. Let's just go to Deflector. I don't have any Borg doffs. What are you talking about? 400 million for this Fed one? This is what I wanted to see. That I had doffs that I've just got sitting here that are apparently worth a lot of money. Which one is that? 30. These are doffs that, like, half a year ago I thought were complete trash, but apparently people want to spend a lot of money for them. I'm not going to complain. Um, am I the reason these doffs? No. Most of these packs that I opened, like most of these Borg doffs here are from last year. I honestly have not opened that many Borg doff packs this year. There's other people that are more active with the exchange market manipulation stuff that have been controlling that market a fair bit more than I have in recent times. Don't get me wrong, I like seeing that these things are worth so much now. C44. Why, I don't even know why people are paying this much for some of these, but I am not going to complain. Psy and Miracle Worker. Yes, Augie has a fair bit of impact on the market. He's got a connection to a lot of the DPS crowd for sure. But I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. Like, these are doffs that I opened these Borg doff packs a year ago, and now people are paying 100 million for some of these. I'm not going to complain. I just got to find which ones I have and get them posted. Stargate, how you doing? You see, I'm happy right now because I'm looking through and seeing all the prices of these doffs, and I'm just thinking, for most of these that I'm selling, if they sell, that's at least 10 keys, per doff. It's the prospect of being able to gamble and just gamble quite a bit here is nice. The 23s I'm not surprised by. Those are good for torp boats. I'm not going to flood too many of the same doffs up right now, but there's going to be lots of gambling when these all sell. If they sell, that is the big issue, isn't it? Is they may be worth a lot, but who's actually buying them? Okay, I'm curious how many of these 42 doffs I have, so I'm gonna mail them to myself. Or just like put them here just to count them up. Because each of these 42s is worth like 3 or 400 mil, right? So really just the 3? Aw, oh, there's a 4th. Triple patch for Stormfall branch code. Oh, Stargate, that's just what I want to hear. That is wonderful news. I know what I'm going to be doing after the stream then is going through and is it up yet? Is Tribble Rancid? Thank you for the sub. Yeah, the Borgdoffs are really highly priced. The thing is, the reason I have so many of these things is because I was opening so many of the packs when they initially came out. So they were much cheaper then. And I also opened a lot of lock boxes last year, so I got a lot of those Borgdoff packs. So they were much cheaper. I wasn't paying 50 to 60 million per pack to open these. That would be insane. This is filtered by Deflector Officer Crusher. I just have this many of them. And I also have security officers on, so if I turn security officers off, there's still a few Borgdoffs. 4 of the 42s on just this character. Need to tell Augie to pump the 42 market a bit more. I gotta get me some EC. Server is still locked. Oh yeah, that's a big patch going, isn't it? Yeah, Crusher. It's because I opened lots of the Borgdoff packs on this character a long time ago. I don't have any of the really good ones like 24 or 27 or 38s, but apparently there's a lot of the other ones that have gotten quite popular, so I'll take advantage of that. Tribble is still locked. That's fine. I'll take a look at the Tribble stuff later on after the stream. Can't really add on stream anyways. Let's go. Did I have any other good ones? What was 43 of 47 worth? Not much. 38. Do I have any energy weapon officers on this character? No, I do not. That's basically what I'm doing, Crusher. It's just that the issue I have is I don't want to flood the market with every last one that I have, because doing that is just going to uh, I would just have a bunch of them bounce back if I posted all of them that I had. What are 8s going for? 22 mil. And the tanking Borgdoffs 8, 11, and 12, the ones where you can trigger attack pattern Delta, those are still fairly cheap. I just tanking does not seem to be as popular as it once was. That or everyone that's tanking is not using these doffs. The Section 31 sells for a good bit. People need it to get their Exodus, so what I need is these inquiries to go up. What is the Emerald chain at? 740. Still too much for that ship. Yeah, so like 8 to 47 is really popular because on the really high end torp boats because uh the really high end torp boats all have a commander command seat for suppression barrage. And basically you use attack pattern beta as your actual attack pattern on your build, and then you trigger delta through this duty officer. I agree, Michael. That'd be nice. But 8 is triggered off tack and command abilities. 11, I think it was, is tack and temporal. And 12 is tack and intel. So any of them, they all do the exact same thing. It just depends on what you're using to trigger. What abilities you have to trigger the duty officer. But that's how you would trigger attack pattern delta on a tank without running attack pattern delta. You just have one of these slotted. And this, if it triggers, it will also cause you to benefit from, say, attack pattern delta prime, or um, like the plus threat duty officers that are like give you plus threat under attack pattern delta, or assault squad officers. I might be wrong. It might be security. Um, I don't remember if they stack. I think it's just one is the issue with them. I'm also hoping for a really good Muds bundle. Um, the Atlas, I don't care about the DPRM console as much as other people probably do. I'm probably unique in that regard. Is I don't even run the DPRM on most of my builds. My solo ISE build wasn't even running the DPRM. The DPRM's nice. I just think it's been a little overhyped. Definitely is a good console though. Just not every build 100% absolutely needs it. Skills, the Delkina. I wish I knew. Back in the day, we got, the ships added to Infinity 6 months after the lockbox came out. It's been 15 months, 14 or 15 months, basically. Um, if you have one of these stuffs on, they're fabrication engineers. Do I have an 8 here? Here's a 12. So when you activate any attack or specialization ability for whichever version you get it, like there's the 12 is the version that triggers off of Intel, 11's off temporal, 8 is off command. Whichever one you get, any of those abilities have a chance to trigger attack pattern delta. Yeah, the DPRM definitely has a place, especially in PvP. And I understand why some people use it in PvE. I don't know. I don't place as much value on it anymore as others do, for sure. Yeah, Tribble is still down, but there you go. It is definitely on the latest code branch, like Stargate was saying. Well, folks, I'm going to wrap things up here, though, for today. If anyone has any final questions, feel free to ask. But I need to go get me some food and get the window open here or something. It's getting real warm in here. So I'm going to wrap this up here and go deal some things. Yeah, thank you to everyone that stopped by. I know this stream was just at a random time, but I will be streaming again tomorrow. Probably a similar format. I don't really have anything explicitly planned to do. Probably just another stream just like this, doing just market stuff, talking. Probably around the same time tomorrow. Probably go a little bit longer than this stream did, though. And no problem, Darthon. Thanks again to everyone that stopped by, and as always, should mention here, thanks to all channel members, Patreon members, Twitch subs. The help is always appreciated. That's gonna be it for today, though. So, thanks all, and see you next time. Yeah, you all have a good day.